everyone, I'm Yolanda Soto Lopez from the Art Crafts channel. I hope you enjoyed today's video tutorial. Please be sure to subscribe if you haven't already done so. That way you never miss a new video. If you see anything you like, be sure to hit that like button, put any comments below, and let's get the party started. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make this little baby headband, or it could be for a child. Although it looks like it's all one big flower, there's actually 3 different flowers that are attached here. You can also add leaves, and I'll put the link for the leaf and flower playlist. It has a lot of tutorials on there for different flowers and different leaves if you don't like this one. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Okay, to begin our headbands, we're only going to need a few things. I'm using 2 different colors of yarn, but you could do whichever colors you want. And these little flexible headbands, I got it at the dollar store, so you could buy different ones. And these can even be used to make the little tutu things for baby girls when they're a lot thicker. And they sell the thicker portions also at Joann's or different fabric stores. I'm going to be using an H hook, which is an 8. It's a 5mm. You're going to need a stitch marker, and then you need some scissors to cut your pieces. So if you want, you can make them all one single color. It's totally up to you. So I'm going to put these aside for now. So to begin here, I'm going to start this with a white center because I'm going to be using it on a white piece. So I want it kind of to contrast. So I apologize if there's any background noise. They've been doing a lot of work in my neighborhood. So here you're going to begin with the magic circle. And the way you do that, here's the end of the yarn. I put it in my left hand, I'm right-handed. And then I just kind of loop this one in front. See how that goes? Then I bring that yarn to the back. I'm holding it here with my index finger and my thumb of my left hand. Then I can grab that yarn from in there, kind of turn my hand a little bit to grab that yarn, and then I just close that off just like that. If your loop is kind of big, you can close it a little bit, just don't completely shut it. So here I'm going to make 1 chain, and then in here I'm going to make 6 single crochets. To single crochet, I just put in my hook into that circle, and I'm going to pull that yarn out. There'll be 2 loops on your hook. I'm going to pull through both of them, and that's my first single crochet. So here I'm going to do 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so now let me get some more yarn here. Now when I have my 6 single crochets, I'm going to go ahead and pull that shut, and here I'm going to be working on my next single crochet here. But for here, I'm just going to be joining my yarn because now I'm going to move. Let me see if I could get a little bit closer. I'm going to be moving into that color round. So here I'm going to just go ahead and go into my space there. I'm going to cut my yarn. The tail is kind of long, but I need to have a longer tail so I could sew my piece in. I cut that yarn off, and now here I'm going to get the pink yarn or whatever color you choose, and then when I pull this out, it's going to close that stitch there. Okay, then you can attach it whichever way you're used to doing it. Here I'm just going to make a quick little tiny knot. Some people don't use knots at all. It's totally up to you. So here, now that I have that, I'm in my first stitch here. So here, then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so here then I've just gone and I slip stitch into my first stitch here, my first single crochet, and so now I'm going to have 5 left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that I'm going to be working in. So here now I'm going to go into my next stitch here, my single crochet, but let me put my hook in here so you can see what it looks like. As you can see, there's 2 loops, the front and the back. I only want to work through that front loop, okay, because I'm going to be using that second loop for our second round. So here I'm going to go ahead and go in there. I'm going to slip stitch in there. Now here I can chain 2, 1, 2, and then in that same loop, let me get more yarn here. In that same loop, I'm going to do 2 double crochet. So I'm going to yarn over, go into that front loop only, pull out. There's 3 loops of yarn on my hook. I'm going to go through the first 2 and then the second 2. Do that again. So that's my second double crochet, chain 2, 1, 2, and then I move into my next stitch, and I'm going to slip stitch in there, and then I repeat what I just did for that first petal. You're going to repeat that until you have 5 petals. So here I'm going to do 1, 2, chain, do my 2 single crochet, excuse me, do my 2 double crochets. So here's 1 and 2. I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2, and I'm going to repeat that until I have my 5 petals. Slip stitch into that next little stitch that we had there. Okay. So now this is the first round of your flower. If you only want to do it this way, just a flat little flower like that, then you just would fasten off and then close off, sew in your tails. Then you could sew it onto your headband. So it would look just like this. And you could do some of those for like newborns or really young babies. So here I want to make this a little bit bigger, so now I'm going to flip my work, my little petals to the front, and now you can see, let me show you here, if I put my hook in there, you can see that that back loop was free. So now here I'm going to slip stitch into that back loop. You had to move those little front petals to the back so you could see that. I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3, and now I'm going to wrap the yarn over my hook twice. 1 and 2. You could see that. 1, 2, 3 loops. You can hold it with your index finger. I'm going to go into that back loop, pull out my yarn. Now I'm going to work through the first 2 loops, now the next 2 loops, and the third. So then I've done a treble crochet. Once again, 1, 2, go into that back loop, same loop, pull through the first 2, oops, sorry, trying to get more yarn there, then the next 2, and the last 2. But this time I'm not going to just do 2, I'm going to do 3 repeats. Yarn over twice, go in there once again, pull through the first 2, the next 2, and finally our last 2 loops. Chain 3, 1, 2, and 3, and you're going to repeat that for every petal. Just scoot over your petals to the front. Now I can see my back loop here. Sorry guys, here, let me move that. Here's the back loop. Slip stitch through there, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to repeat that. So see, now we're going to have 2 layers of flowers right there in front. I'm going to repeat that all the way around until I finish all my 5 petals. Okay, the last one here, I've just slip stitched into my loop there. So now I'm going to cut the yarn and fasten off. So now here you can see that you'll have a flower with 2, let me see if I put it sideways you can see it better, with 2 layers of petals. So here's the first one, our first layer, and then our second. and we just work those 2 layers by the first our first round of petals we work in the front loop of the chain. Our second round we work in the back loop, so you could see that there, and it creates this nice little 2-layer petals. So now here you can just sew in your tails, and then you could start sewing your flowers onto your headband. And there's different kinds of them. You can use even a ribbon, or you can crochet a headband. This one I like, kind of like it has this section here to kind of indicate the back where it joins, but it makes a perfect place where you could start sewing on your flowers. And the good thing about this is that you can make this small, or if you wanted to make it even bigger, use bigger hooks, and then you could put different sizes of flowers. So that's really all you need to do. I'm going to sew in this tail, and I'll sew this. I'm going to make a couple more. You can bunch them all up together, and it makes it really pretty. This is a basic pattern. I'm going to make a few more, and then I'll come back, we'll sew it together, and then I'll show you what this looks like. It's super cute, and it's 3D, so it's not like a flat headband. Once they have it on, they're going to have all the different layers just like that. I just wanted to let you know before you sew in all your tails, if you did have a long tail for the beginning, when I started my magic circle, this is the yarn I'm going to use to sew on my flower onto my little headband strip. If you don't have a long tail, don't worry, because you can go ahead and just thread your yarn needle and sew those on. So I'm going to make some more, and I'll be back. Okay, I've made 3 flowers. Both of these were made with an H hook, and then this one in the middle I made it with a J. It's totally up to you. I'm using the white little headband. You would use whatever colors you have, or whichever way. If I was doing this with the pink, then I would probably do the flowers in a different color so they would really pop out. When you do it in the white, what I love about it is that you can use any color you want. Bigger one in the center. Here's a tail that I had right there. And then I'm just using a bigger needle, like a tapestry needle that has a kind of a point on there, so that it could go through the ribbon. And there's also, if you want to add little leaves, I have a playlist that has flowers and leaves, and I'll put that on the screen here. Hopefully it'll let me do it. If not, you can always go to the playlist that I'll put the links in the video description below. So here I'm just going to go through there. And basically I'm just going to sew it on there. Here, now that I have that, I'm just going to go ahead and just make a knot in the back. That's pretty much it. And then you just attach the other 2 onto the sides. Going to cut off the yarn there. If you want to make them lay flat, really flat, you can use a little dab of glue from your glue gun. I'm not going to do that. See, that's what it would look like with just one thing on here. I'm going to put a couple more here on the sides. So you can also add little leaves. I'll put the playlist. I'm just going to sew these on here to the side, and I want them kind of bunched up, so I'm going to put them together. If you want it separate, then you would do it like further apart. But this is a nice little ribbon band. So here, I'm just going to go through here and sew this on the side. Okay, it's all ready. I put the big flower in the middle, and then these 2 I added on the edges. So if you want them, like I said, more separate, you don't want a big bunch here, then just separate them further apart. I just sewed them all onto this little ribbon. You could separate them. Obviously, this is kind of close. Some people don't like that. And then if you kind of split it open like this, you could put some of the leaves that I've made here in my channel. I will put the link for that. And then you will be all set and ready to go. This is kind of neat because it stretches, so it'll fit different sizes. You can just try on the different headbands. This one I got at the Dollar Tree, but you can find them bigger ones also at Joann's, and I believe Michael's has them too. So if you don't have a Dollar Tree, a dollar store doesn't have them, this is your little inside there. So just like that. I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial. Please be sure to subscribe if you haven't already done so. Hit that like button, share with your friends and family, and remember always that God loves you.